chase those crazy, chase them crazy, chase those crazy ballets out of town.
Hello everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on LNTV. As usual, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are around the world. Oh yes, we gotta chase those crazy bunkheads out of town. They have no business being in Abuja. They have no business leading in a country they've already destroyed, let alone trying to lead a whole region in West Africa, that the only example they can show to the region is how to be corrupt. We've got to chase those crazy bunkheads out of town.
Them crazy, we gonna chase those crazy ballets out of town. Chase those crazy ballets out of a town. High and I build the cabin, high and I plant the corn. Didn't my people before me slave for this country? Now you look me with a scorn, then you heat up all my corn. We gonna chase those crazy, chase them crazy, chase those crazy ballets out of town. Steady little bit, step, stop, step, till you don't stop, to let up, start to little, start let up, stop, stay, build your penitentiaries, we build your schools, brainwash education to make us the fools. Hatred you reward for our love. Chase those crazy bumpers, chase those crazy bullets out of a yam. Chase those crazy bullets out of town.
As I build up my story for today, I like to show supporting videos, because even when you hear me being very critical about Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his policies, it's not a matter of just trying to bash Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's because there are antecedents that should make anybody in their right senses know that this man's time in Asher Rock is going to be a waste of Nigeria's time to a way larger extent that we wasted in the last 8 years. Going into the elections, all you heard from Bola Ahmed Tinubu's supporters is he's an expert technocrat. He knows how to put together a team. On and on and on. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in office for 2 months now, plus, and we've watched him to see the team he'll put together. It's a bunch of crooks. He has built a coalition of crooks in the House of Reps and the Senate as the leaders of those two houses. He has built a coalition of, for the most part, crooks around him in key positions. Don't get me wrong, there are some new faces and some faces that are going to be very good cabinet members and all that. But what are they going to do? What are they going to do around all these crooks? I want you to listen to what an African election observer said about Bola Ahmed Tinubu's entry into Asha.
I want to quickly mention that a lot of the international observers who were there were as disenchanted as I was. There were 4 African presidents, former presidents, who were in Nigeria to observe the elections. There were over 144,000 observers deployed across the country. And they all were disenchanted by what they saw. I want to say that what happened in Nigeria was not election observation, but a crime watch. We watched a crime being perpetrated on a country of 200 million people with utter and complete impunity.
Now, why is that relevant? Many of you may be asking. I'll tell you why it's relevant. What Nigeria does in the entire West African corridor, or even in the entire continent of Africa, actually goes beyond how it affects Nigerians. To buttress what I just said, I'd like to play you this video coming from a non-Nigerian African about the expectations of not just Africa, but the world on Nigeria. Just listen.
It has never been lost on me that the day Nigeria rises, that is the day Africa rises. You may not know, but 1 out of every 5 Africans is a Nigerian. And the reason, in my view, why Africa continues to totter in the manner that it does is because Nigeria has never realized our potential. The day Nigeria realizes our potential, that is the day that Africa will rise. So we are here today also to remind Nigeria that it must play her real leadership role, not only in this region, but in Africa, by demonstrating by what and did that Nigeria will be in the forefront in the fight against corruption. And it's not only at the continental level that Nigeria must demonstrate this. Nigeria must also demonstrate her leadership position in the world.
Nigeria must demonstrate its leadership role not only in Africa, but in the world. And then my question to you is, how is Nigeria going to do that? How is Nigeria going to demonstrate its leadership role in the world when Nigeria is led by the world's most crooked politician? He's compromised before he gets into any negotiation. And anybody negotiating with him is negotiating to take from him, not to give him. Because with the dirt that follows Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's ready to sell Nigeria to give himself legitimacy. That's why he's desperate to lead a West African coalition led by Nigerian troops, which is a joke because they can't beat Boko Haram, but they want to beat an army that is not just organized, but backed by Russia's Wagner forces and Burkina Faso forces who are superiorly trained, and Chad forces and Mali forces, not to talk about Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, which has already backed Niger in this crisis. Bola Ahmed Tinubu will sell his soul, sell Nigeria to America or France or Britain, whoever wants to take it from him, just for them to say he's a legitimate president in Nigeria. Folks, how do you going to fight your neighbor, who realistically has done nothing to you. The citizens of Niger are celebrating the military takeover because the president, the quote-unquote democratically elected president, is similar to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's not working in the interest of Niger. He's working in the interest of himself and whatever France wants. We have all kinds of crises in Nigeria. We have Boko Haram, we have IPOB, we have unknown gunmen, we have Fulani herdsmen, we have Sunday Igboho still in semi-exile in the Republic of Benin. We have all this stuff. We have the subsidy issues, we have gas prices rising, we have gas theft in the oil wells and in the oil fields. That's what Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be focusing on. But no, he's worried about fighting a war with a country that did absolutely nothing wrong to Nigeria. Fighting a war because a military coup overthrew a rogue president that is a stooge for France. That's their headache. What does that have to do with Nigeria? Well, for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's an opportunity to kiss up to France, Britain, and America, who at best have been lukewarm about his presidency because they know he did not win an election. But with an opportunity here, he knows that they are willing to recognize him if he gives them the green light and the opportunity to go back and reinstall a stooge in Niger to do what America and Britain and France want him to do. And in the meantime, what they are trying to do is to now help France to gain back their exploitative position in Niger against the will of Nigerians who are in the streets and cheering the takeover, albeit forcefully military takeover, of a government that is exploiting them at the interest of France. You go figure. And by the way, Nigerians should be very aware of the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution, where somewhere in that Constitution it says, I think it's in chapter 6, section 135 of the Constitution, where there is some kind of clause where if Nigeria is in a war and it's not in the interest of the country, that the president has the authority to put off any elections, blah, blah, blah. And with the tribunal going and his discomfort that the tribunal may overturn the election and call for a rerun, all these are ploys that the Mr. Nigeria's #1 wheeler and dealer is working on, this desperation to go to war in Niger. But he forgets one thing. Conny man die, conny man bury him. That's the... Yes, as much as we know that he picked who he wants to be in leadership in the Senate and the House, many of those people are very strong personalities. The Senate president, who I'm not crazy about, but realistically, he's a wheeler and dealer like Tinubu, and for him it's also what's in it for him. But really knowing his background and his antecedents, I know that him and Tinubu are ultimately going to clash. Maybe not today, but they will clash. And clash #1 has come from the fact that the Senate has rejected his request to to put Nigerian boots on the ground in Niger to fight who they call a neighbor, a friendly neighbor. And yes, Niger is a friendly neighbor. The other part that Tinubu forgets is that the clause he may be referring to in the Constitution is talking about a war like Nigeria-Biafra war, or if there's a war between Niger and Nigeria directly, not ECOWAS forces. It's irrelevant that Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS. But whatever fight they are fighting is an ECOWAS war. It's not a Nigerian war. Yes, his lying, fabricating Minister of Information to be, Dele Alake, Mr. I single-handedly did this and I single-handedly did that, is going to come out to give Nigerians some BS, and you all know what BS stands for, about why what Tinubu is doing is right. We have to be very worried about that man called Dele Alake. If you guys think you had problems with the lying Muhammad, you haven't seen anything. Dele Alake is a more refined lying Muhammad, but he's a more dangerous person for Nigeria because your illegitimate president relies on him a lot for fine-tuning his crookedness. So yes, Dele Alake is a very seasoned journalist, but his journalism is all about crookedness and how to twist facts to favor whichever crooked cabal he's working with. His fame comes from the days in Nigeria when the media was controlled by Western Nigeria, and he was one of the chief architects of twisting news to subdue whoever he wanted to subdue and project whoever he wanted to project. Them days are gone. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be very careful. Nigeria is at crossroads, and we must keep pushing and fighting and make Bola Ahmed Tinubu understand that you may have acquired your wealth by whatever crooked means to bribe everybody in sight. The people who Nigeria means something to are unbribable. The progressives and the moderates and the obedience in Nigeria are unbribable. The progressive and moderates in Lagos, the Yoruba progressives and moderates in Lagos are unbribable. And we are ready for this man, and let him keep fooling himself. His days in Asha Rock, be it numbered by the outcome of the tribunal or served out for 4 years, he is in for 4 years of an illegitimate administration, and we are fellow Nigerians, as a matter of fact, in this case, fellow Africans. Let me conclude on this note. If Britain, America, France, China, Russia, and the rest of them, but especially Britain, America, and France, want to do business in Africa, it is not too much to ask that they do business with us on our terms. When France and Britain and America and the rest of them go to Saudi Arabia or Dubai or Egypt, which is also in Africa, and even Algeria and Tunisia, when they go there to do business, they do business with those people on their terms. Why is it that when they come to Africa And lately you hear them saying phrases like, Africa is the future. We run around and celebrate that soundbite, that Africa is the future. But we never do anything proactively to start planning for that future in a way that it benefits us. When America and Britain and France are telling you that Africa is the future, they don't mean your future in Africa. They mean their future on their terms. And that's what it's been since independence in every African country. And that's why we're so impoverished. And then you have people like Bola Ahmed Tinubu rig an election, go to Asha Rock, and Nigerians are docile about it. A great country like Nigeria cannot sit on its potential. Since 1960, Nigeria has been a potentially great country. How do we reclaim the glory that should be ours? It starts with challenging what's bad. Challenging what's bad when it's coming from your mom, challenging what's bad when it's coming from your dad, challenging what's bad when it's coming from your leaders. It doesn't matter what level it's coming from. We respect our elders too much, and our elders are responsible for where our country is today. The ones who are very wealthy are responsible for it. The ones who are very poor are also responsible for it because they have shut up and played along with it. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on LNTV. Until next time, good night and God bless.
Them crazy, we're gonna chase those crazy ballets out of town. Chase those crazy ballets out of a town. I and I build the cabin, I and I plant the corn. Didn't my people before me slave for this country? Now you look me with a scorn, then you heat up all my corn. We're gonna chase those crazy, chase them crazy, chase those